In this demo, I will showcase the connectors that we have at the Arcintegrator application. So the the group of connectors that we have are the following. We have the start and the finish. We also have timer. So we have a cron timer. So this cron scheduler allows you to schedule by minute, hour, day, month, and year. Then we have the simple timer, which has a resolution of milliseconds. And then we have the databases. So we have a SQL Server source, so which allows you to query SQL Server databases or Azure SQL database. We have the Oracle database, the MySQL, the PostgreSQL connector is currently being developed, and we have the counterpart for that, the sender. This one, the sender will send data to SQL Server or Azure SQL database, and we have the Oracle as well, Oracle sender, and the MySQL. We have connectors for web. So we have the web server, so allows this our system to serve JSON or XML web services, and which is authenticated by basic authentication over SSL connection. And there is a work on the way that builds a web server that accepts JWT token from Azure AD. So we have the web response, basically that sends back response to the client, and then we have the HTTP client. So the JSON web sender will send JSON data to a web service using basic authentication, and we have Azure JWT Web Center, which basically connects to a web service and authenticates using JWT and sends a payload. And then we have the connectors for Azure. So we have the Azure Service Bus. So this is the Service Bus receiver, and we have the Service Bus sender as well. So this pair will receive or send data to Azure Service Bus. And then we also have uh, the blob Azure blob storage. So this connector will send data to Azure blob storage. Oh, sorry, will fetch data from Azure blob storage, and there is a counterpart, uh, which is the Azure blob storage sender. So this will send data to blob data to Azure blob storage. And we also have the event grid. So this is the event grid receiver. So basically, it will send events to Azure Event. Sorry, it will receive events from Azure Event Grid. And we also have the Azure Event Grid sender. Now we also have connectors for AWS. So we have the S3 bucket receiver. So it connects to AWS S3 and fetches data from S3. And then it has a counterpart, which is the S3 bucket sender. So it sends data to Azure S3 bucket. And then we have the SNS receiver. So it receives simple notification services from AWS, and it has a counterpart which sends SNS to AWS. And then we have the SQS sender, so it sends data to AWS simple queue service. And we have the it receives data from AWS SQS, and this one will send data to AWS SQS service. And we have other connectors like utility connectors like Teams. So this one will send messages to Teams. So it's good for notifying, let's say, BAU support that there's a problem with some orchestration. So and then we have SFTP. Yeah, so we have SFTP. So this is the file connector. So we have the secure file transfer connector receiver. So it fetches files from SFTP, and then we have the SFTP sender, which sends data to SFTP, and then we have the file, so which is the normal file. So you can receive files from a file share or a folder, and we have the file sender. So this will send files to a file share or a folder. We have the email connector, which sends SMTP email, so it sends email messages. And aside from that, we have other utilities which are not connectors but are utilities. So we have the zip. So this one will allow you to compress a payload and optionally encrypt the payload. And we have its counterpart, which is the unzip, which will decrypt the payload and optionally specify the password that will be used for decompression. And then we have utilities like that is used for encryption. So this is the AES 256 encryptor. This is a symmetrical encryption using the famous AES 256 algorithm. And then the counterpart is the AES 256 decrypt. We have other utilities like also I forgot to mention that we also have a Salesforce CRM connector. So it receives data from Salesforce. So work is on the way to build the sender, the Salesforce sender. We also have the HL7 connectors, the health level 7. We have the HL7 sender and the HL7 receiver. So the HL7 client. And we have other utilities like the converters. So this one is the converter uh, uh, from JSON to comma separated variable to CSV file. So we have the uh, converter from XML to JSON. We have the CSV to JSON. So and we have JSON to XML. So these are data converters. And we have other utilities for doing some complex manipulation or calculation. So we have a C sharp script, so allows you to manipulate the data using the powerful C sharp scripting language. And we have JavaScript, which is manipulates data with JavaScript. So we have the logic control. We have the yes, no, or true or false evaluator. We have the loop. So you can, with this you can loop through a data. It's a for each one, so you can iterate through data and debatch a data. Let's say an array. If your JSON contains an array of say customers, you can debatch it with a for each. We have the delay, so used to perform delay, so waits. We have here a uh, we have a razor transformer. So if you want to generate email using with HTML payload from a data, so you can use the razor transformer or a generic data formatting. So if you want to do some complex data formatting, so you have the razor transformer. We also have what else? This one, I'm not sure if I described this one. It's a JSON Web Center, allows you to send JSON data to a web service which is secured by basic authentication. So you can specify the login and password. So it will authenticate to a so we have the counterpart, which is JWT over here. Um, I guess I guess that's the list of our connectors. We're continually building our connectors, so for different services. So it'll make it easier for the users to connect systems. Thank you. That's the end of my demo.